Hello everyone. Remember last week I said we were going to do a pattern for sleeves on this jacket. So let's get to it. Hello, hello, hello. I am hoping that you're all having a great day. It is Wednesday, April 16th, and I'm going to go ahead and draft the pattern for the sleeves. And then I will be working on this beauty right here, which has been in the stash for quite some time. It's time to finish it off. And I am going to actually enter it in a contest. I just have to find what lace overlay I want to do, such as this one. This has been a battle for me for quite some time, but I've got this lace overlay here, which I think is really very pretty, if you can see that. Okay. Very, very pretty. Okay, anyway, it is very pretty, and to give you some idea of what that might look like, all the way to the bottom, to the top here. I don't know if you can see because I think my arm is in the way. But that lace is an option. And I think I showed this already. I've got about 7 of these appliques, which could be an option as well. And these would also sit down on the skirt part here. Or the other option is to simply add something as simple as this with probably some bling around here and on the shoulder strap. So I'm still not quite sure, but I have to make up my mind very quickly in order to get it done and to get it entered into the contest. But today we're going to work on the simple pattern for a sleeve. So let me grab a few things and we'll get started. All right, so let me grab a few things and we'll get started. My video was cut off because of an incoming call. So first I'm going to take a few measurements. I'm nervous every time I get on the camera. I'm not sure why. But I'm going to take a few measurements. I know that my from here to here to my from my shoulder point to my bicep is 6 inches. Typically around my, make sure I'm in the camera, around my bicep, normally it's 14. I've put on a few pounds, so it could very well be a little bit more than that now. And it is. It absolutely is. It's 15, so I'm going to add probably an inch to give some room for being able to move my arm in the sleeve. Maybe an inch and a half. So it's 15, so I'll go 17 and a half around my bicep. That's how wide I need the sleeve to be, not in the cap, but in the bicep where it's going to fit around my arm. Okay, and then my wrist. So this is depth. This is bicep. I'm actually going to make the sleeve out of this piece of paper, right? This drafting paper right here. So that's why I'm writing these numbers down. My sleeve length for me is, well, it's usually 23 and a half. So let's see, from there to my elbow. Where's my mirror? From there to my elbow. Let me get my mirror. Okay, so from my shoulder point to my elbow, it is, to my elbow point is 13. Shoulder to elbow is 13. Okay, and then from there to my arm, from my shoulder to my wrist, it's usually 23. And it is 23 and a quarter. That's typical, that's what it's always been. Shoulder to wrist. 23 and a quarter. And my wrist width is, it's 8.5, so I'm gonna add an inch for movement, right? My wrist is 8.5. So I'm going to cross that out because I need 9.5. Shoulder to elbow, bicep is 17.5. It's actually 15 and a half. Or did I say 16? Let's see. I've been on quite a bit of weight, so these numbers have changed over the years. I said it's 15 and a half. I was going to give myself some room, so I'm going to say 16 and a half. Not that much room, but I will say 17. That's an inch and a half. Okay, so I'm making it 17 instead of 15 and a half to give me some room. The depth here from here to here is 6 inches. My bicep from shoulder to elbow is 13 inches. My bicep is 15 and a half, but I'm adding an inch and a half so I can move. My arm can move in the jacket. Then my shoulder to wrist is 23 and a quarter from here to here. My wrist bone right here. And then my wrist itself is 8.5, but I'm adding 1 inch wearing ease so that I can move my wrist while I'm wearing the jacket. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and plot this out on this piece of paper. All right, so my shoulder, make sure you're in the camera. Maybe just a little bit closer. Okay. All right. I'm going to use a thicker marker so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to measure, and I'm going to measure, make sure this is 17. See how long my paper is. It is just about the length of my, okay. All right, so I'm going to measure an inch down. So that's going to be my starting point there. An inch. So my first measurement will be my shoulder my bicep depth. My bicep depth is 6 inches down from the top. This is the top. My starting point is right here. Okay, so 6 inches down from my shoulder is my bicep. Depth is 6. It's right there. My bicep width is 17 divided by 2. I'm only using half of the paper. 17 divided by 2 is 8.5. So I'm going to measure out 8.5 from my bicep depth. This line is my bicep width. Okay, this is my bicep width. Okay, from my shoulder to my elbow is 13 inches, so I'm going to go down 13 inches and mark my shoulder to my elbow. Why? Because this is more where I'm going to put the dart. Shoulder to elbow width. Okay, so my elbow width is, it's 12. I'm going to give myself an inch, so that's 13. So that is, I'm going to measure out 6.5 here from my elbow. Okay, this is how you get your sleeve to go, the pattern. You see sleeves patterns. This is how you get that line design going down like this from the fullest part to your elbow down to your wrist. And this is how that happens, okay? And so my wrist is 9.5 divided by 2 is 4.5 for the 9. And 0.5 for the half, so that is 4 3/4. Okay, so I'm going to go down to my wrist. My shoulder to wrist is 23 1/4. It's actually pretty much the bottom of the paper, but I'm going to have to add a piece of paper here to lengthen it. So if you don't have enough room, actually, it's right there. Did I say 23 1/4? I did. So it's right at the bottom of the paper is my, right at the bottom of the paper here is my wrist. Right at the bottom. So I'm just going to use that since I have it available. And I need to use the width-wise measurement, which is 4 3/4, which is half of my wrist measurement. So 4 3/4 will give me room to move my wrist. 4 3/4 is 9.5. 4.5 is 9. And 1/2 is, oh, that's 1/4. Okay, so it's not 4 3/4. It's actually 9 is 4.5, and that's 0.5. That's 1/4, so it's actually 4.5 and 1/4. It's 4 5/8, not 4 3/4. So it's 4 5/8. Okay, so that's where we're going to measure out to, 4 5/8 here. And then typically on the front and the back, doesn't matter which side this is at this moment, so I can mark this the front and I can mark the other side the back. But this is where I need to measure out the width of the sleeve that I need for the front is 11 5/8. So we're going to measure that out. This is my starting point here. We're going to measure out 11 5/8 this way. I also need to add an inch on each side of this bicep line, okay? for all for fitting. So I'm going to measure out 11.5. And this may not be enough. Let's see. 9, 10. That's 10, 11.5. Okay. That's 11.5 right there. So we need to bring that out to 11.5. Okay. Needs to go up, at least out that far. And then it is 11 1/8. 11 1/8 on the other side. On the back side would be 11 1/8. Okay, so this is the back. I'm just going to draw it out so you can see what we're working with. Okay, so here is the connection. Here is the connection from the wrist, from the wrist to the elbow. I'm going to have to go out a little bit more. Wrist from the elbow to the sleeve. Okay. This is where our sleeve will curve into. We're going to round this out. Okay. And then we're going to just draw this out a little bit. This is going to curve this way, and then it's going to begin to come up here. I'm just going to really just, okay. Okay, so we'll just draw that in right there. And bring this out. Okay, and then this is the front, so I'm just going to put one dart right there. Now I will go back and neaten this up a little bit. Okay, all right, so basically that is the sleeve. We do need to add seam allowance on here. Excuse me. We do need to add seam allowance on here. I'm going to go ahead and check this out here. Okay. We do need to add seam allowance on here, but for the most part, that's basically how you're going to construct your sleeve. I grab my scissors. And then we want to add seam allowance, which is going to be 5/8 all the way around. Okay. 5/8 all the way around. Ooh, that is hard to see. Nope. We want to bring this in. Okay. That looks so deep. Okay, 5/8. Yep. 5/8 here. Okay. That's 5/8. This is not 5/8 here. Yep. Okay, I can't see. I gotta stand up. I've got to stand up. Okay. All right, so we're going to, and what I'm going to do is trace this out. Hold up, that is not 5/8 of an inch. Wow. Okay. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my tracing wheel and trace this out onto the other side of the paper. Okay. All right, let me trace this out on the other side. All right, so I'm going to trace this out. Can you see? Yeah, you can see. That's my seam allowance, okay. Okay, so I'm just tracing around the seam allowance. So I won't have to add seam allowance to the other side. I'm tracing it off. And you want to curve into this sleeve cap. My bicep depth is really, really low. And you also want to trace off your lines here so that you know which line is what. Now listen, I'm just sharing with you what I know. If you know a better way, or you've been taught a different way, and it works for you, wonderful. All right, so let me trace this off, and then you will see our completed sleeve. This is really good, especially if you've, like I said, if your measurements have changed, it's good to get a fresh perspective on really what your measurements are. They can fluctuate from pattern to pattern depending on the design style and the design ease and the wearing ease. Okay, the design ease doesn't change that much, but the wearing ease can change dramatically. And I can tell you I'm probably going to have to adjust this sleeve a little bit, especially at the cap. But right now this gives me something to at least work with. So I can do a sample sleeve and see how it fits into the jacket. And if I need to make adjustments from there, then I can do that. Like I need to round out that sleeve cap. Okay, so we'll do that. And then there you go. You have your sleeve. You have your what do I want to call this? You have your Lord, my brain. Okay. The middle of your sleeve here. What is that? Oh my God. Okay. So there we have it. There we have it. The whole sleeve. Okay. Okay, so these are our three pieces so far. We've got the front, we've got the back, and now we have a sleeve. that we're going to cut out later and put in the jacket. And that will be our next part. After this, we will work on the collar, but it will probably not be for the next couple of weeks while I work on entering my entrance into a wedding gown or a formal wear contest. So there you go. I hope you had a great time. I hope you learned something. I hope I was helpful to you today. Until we... Whoa. Hey, you know, when it's one of those days, it's just one of those days, right? No excuses. Work with it. All right. So we've got the front, we've got the back, we've got the sleeve. Next, we will work on designing the collar and put the hem in, and the jacket will be finished. Okay, got to decide how to close it, but then it will be finished. I am going to be working on the bridal gown for the contest entry. That has to be done and uploaded by the 28th of this month. So I've got a few days, but it's going to take some time. So until then, I hope you have a great time with your own measurements, making your own patterns, and designing what you like to wear. Have a great day. And remember, you can sew sleeves.